Chapter 1. The Lone Guardian. The smell of smoke hung in the air, and a bitter iron taste lingered in Orin's mouth. He opened his eyes to darkness and saw nothing at first. He peered into the night sky, refocusing his vision until he saw stars brilliantly displayed far above him. He lay still, wondering whether to move. He couldn't tell if he heard singing or if his mind was creating the folk ballad for his benefit. It was almost peaceful, until out of the corner of his eye he saw dancing light. Torches! Reality sliced through his grogginess, and he realized the peril that might follow those torches. He must move. A jagged rock under his back stabbed him. He made a quick heft to roll over, but sharp pains along his ribcage halted his progress. He fell flat. He assessed his situation and realized it was difficult to breathe. Orin lifted a hand to his ribcage and found a throwing axe lodged in his side. For a brief second, he wondered how he was still alive. He navigated his fingers around the axe blade to analyze the damage. The throwing axe had hit him with enough force to pierce his armor and crack a few ribs. Fortunately, however, the axe had not continued to collapse his lung. He would not have survived any deeper wound. As he pondered his predicament, Orin nearly lost consciousness. No. I must stay awake. He started turning his head toward the torches, but stopped after only a budge. The pain seared up his neck. Even breathing shot lightning bolts through his body. If he moved too much and passed out, he would be unable to defend himself from the torchbearers. Gingerly, he turned his face toward the dancing lights. Orin saw moving figures, but his pain impaired his vision. He wondered if he also suffered a head wound. The blurry figures made their way systematically toward him. Were they looking for him? He did not know. Since he couldn't make out the figures, he adjusted his position in an attempt to focus his vision. "Ah!" Orin blurted. He froze. One of the figures stopped its pattern and turned toward him. There were several large objects between them, and the figure climbed tenderly over them and walked around them when possible, almost reverently. Orin's breathing quickened. The pain increased with every breath. He eased his curved dagger from its sheath and waited. Stay awake. Orin could hardly keep his eyes open, but the flame of the torch grew nearer, along with its bearer. He continued to encourage himself to stay lucid, but was quickly losing that battle. When the figure was within striking distance, or so Orin thought, he attempted a lunge in the torchbearer's direction. "Ah!" Almost immediately, Orin lost the battle to himself. The pain was so unbearable, he dropped his dagger and slumped in a heap on the ground. The bearer thrust the torch into the ground nearby and moved quickly to Orin's side. The bearer shifted Orin, who wailed in agony. The darkness closed in on his mind and vision. This is it, he thought. This is the end. As the pain overwhelmed him, he strained his eyes open to see the creature that would end his life. Orin beheld a face, beautiful and fair. Her eyes were brilliantly green, and her hair was an emblazoned red. A small green stone hung from her neck and brushed against his chin. The girl looked desperately into his eyes and said something, but he heard only muffled sounds. As unconsciousness swallowed him, he smiled at the beauty he was granted in his final moment.